Buongiorno, everybody. This is Sue Lucy coming from page 158 books, and I am so excited to talk to my good friend JT Ellison, all the way from her beautiful home in Nashville, Tennessee. It's a beautiful day here. I know a lot of people are outside, but you're going to come to Italy with us. Grab a glass of wine and come sit and chit chat with us. And JT, I love this book. Last time I said your book was my favorite book of all time for you, and now this one is just even better. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was in an Agatha Christie novel, and I really wish you were here in person because we had so much fun the last time we were together a year ago, just about. But this book is amazing. You're doing a million events in the next couple weeks, so tell us a little bit about your book in your voice.
I'm so excited to be here and to see you. It's been too long, so hugs from afar.
It's a long year.
So Her Dark Lies, yeah, it's been a long year. Her Dark Lies is the story of a young up-and-coming artist named Claire Hunter, who she does large format oils. She is just starting her career, and she meets and falls in love with a man named Jack Compton, who happens to be the son of an incredibly wealthy computer company owner, a long legacy family wealth kind of family. They're philanthropists. They're really good people. He's very close with his parents, and she is being kind of subsumed into this big, amazing family. The book starts with them getting ready to leave for their wonderful weekend on his family's private island and off the coast of Italy. And things just start coming off the rails. I mean, they can't even get out of
putting it mildly.
Things come off the rails.
You start off with a bang there, and you're like, what just happened? Because it's all idyllic and, perfect idyllic wedding in Italy, and she's being swept off her feet and into a rich family, and then boom, like that just really set the whole mood of the whole book off. And then you're like, okay, it can't get any worse than this. And then bodies are everywhere.
Oh, isn't that my job as a writer? Is how can I make the situation worse for my character? At the end of the chapter, things need to be worse rather than better.
And they get worse and worse. And I didn't know. Honestly, we're all amateur private eyes, but I had no idea what was happening with this. My head was spinning the whole time. It was wonderful.
Well, good.
I would love to see you do Post-it notes all over the place.
No, I write in Scrivener, actually. So the Post-it notes are essentially Scrivener. I leave comments in the manuscript for myself, so I know, oh, you need to answer this. Oh, this is the big reveal. Don't tell anybody until, I do it in Scrivener, though. And I mark, I'm very visual. I'm also talking with my hands a lot. I'm going to.
I am too.
I'm going to try to sit on my hands. It's the Italian coming up. I color code everything, and it has emojis and everything, so I know exactly whose chapter it is, in what point of view. Is it present tense? Is it past? Where is it in the story, in the timeline? I mark action sequences, anything that is going to show me. It's pattern recognition, really, for me, so I can see, oh, it's been 10 chapters and nothing major has happened. Okay, bring in a man with a gun. That's the old rule: bring in a man with a gun if things are getting boring. And I do that over and over and over until I've built the book.
Well, I don't know how your mind works like that, but you're so creative. But you used to major in politics. Was there economics in there too? What? Mm-hmm. How does math and creativity go together? That's like, you're a genius.
Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I'm not, for sure. Numbers are not my thing. Large format numbers are my thing. At one point, I was working in finance at an aerospace firm, and I was doing budgets that were millions and millions and millions of dollars. That I could do very easily. But going down to like my checkbook, balancing no. It's just, we don't balance our checkbooks anymore, do we? It's,
I never did, really. So
I just dated myself. Yeah, I didn't do it well. But I had a very broad upbringing of being exposed to a lot of things, and I was interested in a lot of things, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I majored in creative writing and politics. So I had a double major, and then I had a minor in economics, which I had enough classes to have a triple major, but they didn't let you do that. So it just, those, all of those elements of life, there's a lot to be learned from monetary theory. There's a lot to be learned from political theory, a lot to be learned from history and how things work. And then you assimilate that into a story and it becomes, it becomes a tale. But yeah, math ain't my thing. Words are my thing.
You could
Math
say
is not
that,
it.
but I don't think you care about your budget as much as you did about big finance, because that just amazes me that you can have all those balls up in the air and you can put it together. And I'm so mad. I read that you were told by a college advisor that you weren't a good writer and your writing would never take you anywhere. And how dare teachers or advisors ever say that to somebody? And thank God you didn't take that advice. Did you ever contact
was trying to save me from myself, that kind of, listen, you are not good enough to get published. So I'm not going to write you the MFA recommendation. And that's just how, things are going to go. You need to not worry about this. You need to do something else. And I listened. I believed her because I trusted her. She was a heck of a poet herself. And
Yeah.
I thought she was really, really talented and I believed her. And so I went off on the politics tangent and went to graduate school in political management, met my husband the first night of class. So
Well, that's a good thing.
Everything happens for a reason, right?
Yes.
That was meant to be. She was right. At the time, I probably wasn't good enough to be published. But not the way to handle it, lady.
No.
Say you're not good enough right now. You need to, go to summer school. You need to, go experience life, move to New York, do something.
Yes.
But she just slammed the door for me. So
well, I'm glad she didn't slam it.
Quit writing for 8 years.
Yeah. So how many years before
slammed it? She didn't lock it.
Yes.
8.
Yeah, that's a long time. But you're in school to learn and become a better crafter with, so we'll move on from that. But you're a better person because you persevered. So, and I'm really excited. So you worked at the White House. Who did you work under? Or is that a secret?
God, let's not go there.
No.
let's just not.
It's a whole different world in politics, isn't it?
It's really funny. The past several years, a lot of people who've never been interested in politics have gotten very interested in politics.
Yes.
And the way I look at it is, oh my God, I did my time. I did my time.
Yes.
And I got out because I was very disillusioned with it. I didn't like how it worked. I didn't like how powerful people got more powerful and didn't seem to actually help anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I really had a difficult time with it. And so I got out, and that's, I think, why I've been writing so much while everybody else has been on Twitter upset, because it's like, yeah, you're not going to change anything. Nothing ever changes. Been there, done that, bless your heart, give it a try. But the idealism that we all had when we were younger, how it feeds into us as adults, is really, it's been fascinating actually watching.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I think you're at the point where we're all starting to feel now. So I think we're all basically disillusioned. So you started to write, and what made you, just overcoming your teacher and your college advisor, what made you decide, like, I'm going to publish my book, I'm going to get it out there? Because I find that fascinating, because most writers are introverts. You're not, are you?
Oh, yes, I am.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
You're fun.
Oh, yeah.
You're outgoing, I feel.
Introverts are fun. We're
well, I'm not saying they're not.
Fun. What are you talking about?
You're like, woo, bring it.
Bring it. I am an introvert. I can turn it on when I need to, turn on the extroversion. It's really more a function of just really being awkward in public. So I have a tendency to put my foot in my mouth. My husband calls me Blurt. My husband's nickname for me is Blurt. Because I get so, I turn it on. I have to crank up the internal adrenaline button. Like, okay, here we go. We're going in. And I sometimes go over, and I have a tendency, I'll go into a cocktail party and be like, blah, blah, blah. It does, tells me blurt. But I am a natural introvert, and I really do. God, now I've lost what the question was, but ask me again.
Well, if I remembered it, that would be. Well, let's go to your 50th birthday. You had a major milestone birthday, and your family took you to Italy. And
They did. They did.
Is that the premise of this book? Did you stay in a private
Yes,
villa?
it was.
So tell us.
When I came up with the actual idea, we were in a very small hotel on the shores of Lake Como, across from Comacina, and Isola Comacina, which is the only island in Lake Como. And it was my birthday. It had been a really rough trip. It had been raining. We had all gotten colds. I actually had lost my voice. I've got a video I sent somebody at home. They're like, "You can't be that bad." And I'm like, "I sound like Minnie Mouse." It was really bad. So I've got videos of this. And then this yacht pulls up in front of the island. We're out on the terrace. Everything's lovely. It's Italy. It can't be bad. Even if it's raining, it's still lovely. Yacht pulls up to the island and a wedding party gets off. I'm like, there's always a wedding. It's like a family joke. No matter where we are in the world, there's somebody getting married and having pictures taken near us. We stumble onto these weddings all the time. So off comes the wedding party. So it's, haha, it's a wedding. Look, there's always a wedding. And then the lights went down because the sun went down. The lights went down. The sun went down. And then they started having this raucous party and fireworks went off. And I thought it was pretty impressive that my family had gotten me fireworks for my birthday, but it wasn't. It was
Let's
for
go
the
with
wedding.
that.
Let's go with it was for me.
Yeah.
That was cool. But the whole thing of just this island and this yacht and the fireworks going off and the wedding. And I did a little research on Comacina, and it had all kinds of really neat legends to it. Like you have to drink a certain kind of coffee before you leave the island, or else demons from the island will follow you home.
Really?
Just really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome Italian stuff. So I married Comacina with Capri, and because Comacina was way too accessible. I needed something that was going to be very difficult to get to. Mm-hmm. Capri, you have to take the ferry, but it's easy, right? The ferries run regularly. It's super easy. So I married the two of them, pushed it off into the Mediterranean Sea. So it was really hard to get to, and locked them in with a storm and this wedding party and all the things that are going on, and people are dying, and there are catacombs and crypts and tunnels and grottos and labyrinths and artist colonies. It's just really fun. And a dead wife. Yeah. And we have a dead wife because we didn't mention it earlier, but Claire's fiance Jack he's been a widow for 10 years. And he will not discuss his wife. Mm-hmm. He will not discuss anything about her. So Claire's kind of left to her own devices trying to figure out who this woman was. And that's kind of the crux of this story is who is Jack's
and who is wife? Claire too? Because
how did she get dead?
Yes.
And who is Claire? Absolutely. Yeah. And who is Jack? I mean, this is, the Her Dark Lies applies to a number of people in this book. It does. Right? Yeah. It could go for pretty much anyone. And everybody's hiding something, which is a very difficult way to start a marriage. And they're big ones.
It's not just like, oh, I bought too many clothes for the trip. It's.
Right. These are big, big secrets,
and all believable. Secrets. Like you really finesse that. Like it all could happen, and that's what I like about your books is because you can read fiction and you can suspend your belief, but you do the research and you make it believable. So I felt like I was right there and I was jumping, so how do you get into that to explain it? When you're writing a book, how do you explain it to the people that were reading it?
The way I look at it is, when you're reading a novel, you need something that's a tiny bit fantastical. Mm-hmm. Because if it was just, Joe got off the boat, they went into the island, they got married, somebody died. That just doesn't work, right? So it has to be a little bit over the top. There has to be a little element of the fantastical to it. So I usually, I push it just as far as I think it can work, and then I usually pull it back just a touch. We were talking earlier about how can I make things horrible for my characters, right? What can I do at the end of the chapter to make things worse? And sometimes my worst can go a little too far, and so I dial it back just a touch. And that we live on that line, kind of like James Bond with the technology. It's doable, you just don't have access to it yet. And that's the kind of drama that I like to write. Something it's completely realistic. You would never in a million years, you and your friend are not going to sit here and this is going to happen to you necessarily. So it's just got to touch just a little bit of a higher element, a higher plane from what we deal with on a daily basis. That's what I'm trying to do with these books.
I have never dealt with a dead body. I'm sorry, but I haven't on a day-to-day basis.
I have.
You have?
I have. When we moved to DC, we had gone, I think 14 when we went on like a scouting trip. My dad had gotten transferred from Colorado to DC, and we went to visit him. He was already living there. We went to visit him before we had bought our house and everything. We were staying at a hotel and downtown DC in L'Enfant Plaza, and we came out in the morning to go, look around town, and a homeless man had taken the elevator up and curled up in an alcove and died.
Oh.
And it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking. It was awful and scary, and
in the capital
14
of the country.
and in a new city, and right? How does that happen? How does
It
that
happens a
happen? I
lot.
think that was maybe the beginning of the idealism, is how in the world can this happen? How can this person, this is where he's literally crawled off to die. It just crushed me. And I did not want to move to DC. I was like, no, I don't want to move here. This is not the kind of place I want to live. Of course, I didn't have a choice. And it is a wonderful town. It's fantastic.
It's fun.
But yeah, that was my first dead body. It was really weird.
Huh. Well, you had a hidden passion for forensics and crime thrillers when you were growing up. So is that what started you writing all this too? And what made you, was it that dead body that made you want to have a career in that? Or a secret passion?
No. I really think came from when I was dating Randy. I met him the first night of grad school, and we were in night school, right? So we both had jobs during the day, and then we would go to school at night, and classes were Tuesdays and Thursdays. And on off nights, we would do our homework together. That was how we dated. We either went to Ruby Tuesdays beforehand, and then we would have, oh yeah, woo, big exciting finish. And then we would, it was fun. It was like, happy hour, you got to eat free. It was great. But we were a kid, and it's like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Free food, what? So we would watch Profiler. I don't know if you've ever seen that show,
yes.
Profiler.
And
it was followed by another crime fiction show with Lance Hendrickson, and the name of that's not coming to me. But the two of them back to back, it was just this cool FBI profiler show, and then another crime fiction show. And I really got interested in crime fiction and the way people use psychology to try to figure out the whys behind a crime and the whys behind criminals. And that was when I started really kind of doing a little heavier reading in crime fiction. I had been kind of more of a science fiction at that point, sci-fi, fantasy, romance. That was kind of my jolt into crime fiction at that point. And so by the time we had moved to Nashville, I knew I wanted to try. I knew I wanted to try my hand at telling these kinds of stories.
That's wild. And you started off writing when you had a back injury. Is that what you were saying before?
I did. So we moved to Nashville, and I turned into a bad country music song. I didn't have any friends. My cat died. I kept getting lost. Every time I left the house, I got lost. I had no idea where we were. I couldn't find a job. So we adopted a new cat. and she was really sick, and the vet next door to the shelter was healing her, and they were looking for somebody. And I said, all right, I'll do this. I thought I was going to sit at the front desk and see everybody, but I was a vet tech. If you've ever been on the other side of the door, it's not as nice as sitting out front greeting people.
Yeah.
So I picked up a golden retriever on the third day and blew out my back and had to have back surgery. And while I was healing, I went to the library and said I wanted some crime fiction, and she said, have you read John Sanford? I said, no, I never have. And I was 3 books into the Prey series, and I was like, boom, this is it. This is what I want to do. And Taylor Jackson popped into my head, fully formed my very own Athena as I was driving to rehab to get my back worked on. It really was a very organic situation.
That whole thing is a country song, isn't it?
Oh yeah, completely. A bad one. A very, very bad one.
Yeah, but look what came out of it. That's fantastic. And Nashville is such a fun city. Sure. What have you been doing the last year? Partying in Nashville, going to the Grand Ole Opry, seeing the sights? No.
I'm actually not a huge country music person, but thankfully Nashville is a lot more than country music.
It really is.
It really is. We have
music
I think every place has its own little world that only outsiders see, and then the people who live there know that's not really the world that we live in. That was what I wanted to do with the Taylor books, was to write the Nashville that we know and love. It has nothing to do with country music, and has everything to do with the dichotomies of the society, and how you can go to the Kroger and there's a woman in a full-length Manx, and there's folks on food stamps, and there's everything in between, and everybody's interacting and being cool with one another, and it's just a really cool town to write about. And it really is. It's got all the same problems as any big city. We've got gang issues. We've got, all the kinds of murder problems and robberies and all of that. So it's a rich tapestry to pull from. I love setting books here. There's a lot.
And a couple of movie stars that you can hang out with too, like Nicole Kidman. No big deal.
Yeah.
Do you hang out with her?
I mean, you bump into them. Everybody, no, I don't. I wish I did. She seems very cool. She's tall like me, so we actually could see eye to eye, which would be really neat.
Yeah.
Most actresses that I've ever met are like, they're so tiny. And they're so adorable and sweet and tiny and little and in your pocket. And yeah, At least she and I are, up here 5'9".
Yeah, you
she's
are.
5'9". I'm a 5'11". We'd be able to, talk eye to eye. But I think why they like it here is nobody's gonna go up to them in the grocery store and say, "Oh my God, can I have your signature?" It's kind of 5 o'clock on Friday evenings at Trader Joe's is kind of the parade of celebrities. So
we write that down. There. But the whole city right there is just beautiful too, because you have the Nashville Predators, you have all the stadiums right there. There's a river. I mean, there's so much culture and
baseball.
fun. Yeah, it's a fun city. So you're staying there for a while?
Schermerhorn Symphony Hall. We've been here since 1998.
Now you moved into a new home. We were talking about that too. And if you can hear the echoing at my new house, we don't have all our furniture here yet, or the cabinets, or the appliances. But you were showing me your house, and people seem to have moved during this whole time during the pandemic, which was weird, but show them your bookcase, because I have the worst bookcase envy. It's so beautiful.
All right. So that's mine. Those are my books. That is the nonfiction library. And this is the fiction library. And yes,
look how tall and beautiful and color coordinated.
Color. Yeah.
Oh,
it's I love having this to my left, because if I ever feel like, oh, I'm not in the mood, nothing's happening, it's not working, wah, I get to look over here and I see my heroes who, they finished their book, so I don't get to have that excuse anymore, and then I go back to work. So
nice.
It's like living in a bookstore. It's awesome.
Oh, I love your room. I love that. Who are your heroes? Who was the first book you remember reading growing up? Do you remember that?
The first book.
Like you could read on your own. That series that you just loved.
I don't know. Clan of the Cave Bear was a huge one for me.
Oh, yeah.
I read a lot of adult stuff. The rule was if I could reach it on the shelf, I was allowed to read it. So I was reading books that were well beyond my years when I was little. I think I read The Thornbirds and Roots when I was
Oh,
8.
me too.
Just
Sidney Sheldon.
big books like that.
Yes.
And I loved Jean Ellis' Clan of the Cave Bear series. I mean, those books were astounding. I did read Dr. Spock a lot. I read a lot of Dr. Spock because I was very interested in myself and my body and what was happening and all of that. So I read a lot of Dr. Spock. Linda Goodman's Sun Signs. I really liked astrology.
That's coming back in again. Everybody's looking to that. So you were ahead of
it's my mom really liked that. The Norton Anthology of Poetry. That's what made me a writer, though.
Really?
The books were great. Judy Blume's Forever. We watched.
Yes, we were just talking about that
last night. Oh goodness, yeah, great stuff. I was wondering if it would hold up. I was wondering last night if I could go reread Forever and if it would hold up for me.
That was one of those books too you could get away with, like, oh, that's a Judy Blume book. It's fine. No. No, it wasn't.
Learned a lot.
Yes, we did.
Learned a lot from that one.
Good old Judy Blume.
Yep. Good old Judy Blume helping us all out.
Yes.
All the things Mommy won't tell you.
I'm sorry, I talked at the same time you did. What'd you say?
That's all the things Mommy won't tell me.
Oh,
Judy will. Judy will tell me.
And she did. She was a good friend. So who are your idols now? Who are the people that you like get excited about when they come out with a book? Because you're on my list. Mary Kubica's on my list. Are there people like that you love?
Absolutely. Lisa Gardner is one. Lisa Unger is all the Lisas. Basically all the Lisas.
Lisa Marie
has a lot of Lisas. Lisa Scottolini. I mean, all of the Lisas. Catherine, obviously, I love Catherine.
Yeah.
I am just really into Deborah Harkness. I love her work. I love The Discovery of Witches. I really like fantasy. I read crime fiction, but I really love fantasy.
Yeah.
And so I like her stuff. Diana Gabaldon is definitely, one of hers comes out, it's like I shut off and take vacation that week because, I just want to immerse myself. Ariel Lawhon, Patty Callahan Henry. You know Patty. And
yes,
Ariel,
I do. She's wonderful.
Amazing.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing.
I can't wait to read her books.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
Don't
good.
be like that I got to read it before you did. Isn't that one of the perks about being an author or bookseller?
It is.
I feel like a movie star myself.
Early copies of books you love.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really cool.
This world is the best world too, I think, because I think the book world is so supportive of each other. Like, who are your friends? Who are the people that you call to say, hey, I'm having writer's block with this and I just don't know which direction it should go. Do you have friends that you call?
Oh yeah. I've got a small cadre of ladies who are, we call ourselves the porch. They used to be able to come to my house and go out on the porch and write. And that's changed now, obviously. So we do it virtually. And so we've pulled in some people from out of town. And there's 7 of us, and we're all in different genres. We're at different stages of our careers. And everybody brings something to the table. Mm-hmm. And we get together quarterly and have write-ins where we check in every day on Zoom and keep each other accountable. And then we check in all the time.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, they are fantastic people. I've been super close friends with Ellison Brennan and Lisa Unger. Wow. Both of them are folks that I, will text and say, I figure if you text with somebody about your work, that's somebody that you're close with, right? Yeah. I don't give my phone number to anybody. So, I'll text them if I'm having an issue. Carla Neggers is a good friend of mine. I love chatting with her. She's got a lot of perspective on the industry. And Lisa Unger, like I was saying, she and I have a lot of deep philosophical conversations about what writing is and what creativity is, and how we produce as female authors and all of that kind of stuff. It's I'm blessed with some absolutely outstandingly cool friends.
Well, you get what you give, and you're a good friend, and you're so much fun, really.
Thank you.
I had a thought in my head, and it went. What? Oh, I just want to go over the event that we're having too, May 3rd. Can you tell us about that? You're going to be in conversation, and then I have it down. May 3rd at 7 p.m. You and me and Catherine are going to be online talking.
Catherine McKenzie, and I
yes.
think Barbara Claypole-White's going to be on there with us as well.
She is wonderful.
Make it a big party.
Yes, it's going to be
fantastic.
We'll come up with a cocktail for that one. Yes. You're also a wine lover, aren't you? I read about that. You have a Wine Vixen blog. Tell us about that.
I do.
Because you can't stop writing.
So when no, I just have to have like 50,000 projects going at once. I'm working on that. It's a problem I'm working on. So the Wine Vixen came from the blog that I used to be on, the group blog Murderati. Every Friday I would give a wine recommendation. It was just something, shticky that I did. And it really, everybody loved it. And I do love wine. I like to go to wine country and go to vineyards and, go to Italy and go to France and Napa and all of that, and go and visit the vintners and see, firsthand how they make things. It's just really cool to me. I at one point thought I might try to go to sommelier school, and that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
You're smart enough to do it. Yeah. I would love you to do that.
It would be fun. So instead of going to sommelier school, I started the Wine Vixen, where I do wine recommendations, and it's lied fallow for quite a while, but
without all
I am on Vivino. I do mark all my wines on Vivino, and I'm Thriller Chick there. So if anybody wants to follow it there, they can. It's a lot easier to just take a picture.
We'll probably get a whole bunch of
4 stars. Good.
So talk about a word on words.
So A Word on Words is now in its 43rd year or so. John Siegenthaler, who everybody needs to know if they don't.
Yes.
He's a huge, huge, incredible part of the history of this nation. He started A Word on Words years and years ago here in Nashville, and it was a 30-minute in-studio conversation with him and an author. He read all of the books. He was the best interview ever. He was my very first interview ever, which for my debut novel, which was incredible. Yeah. And he and I, we kind of hit it off. He was just a really cool guy. And I was on the show several times over the years with different books. And then when he passed, the station didn't want the show to go away. But they knew that a 30-minute in studio was going to be challenging in the environment that we're in. People want things faster. They want snapshots rather than long interview shows. So they reimagined it as an interstitial, which is like a 3-minute long show. It's the show between the shows, as we call it. And we interview authors, we talk to them for about 20, 25 minutes. The editors take it down to a 3-minute clip. And you can watch it on awordonwords.org. My co-host, Mary Laura Philpott, is an author here in town. And the two of us sit down with, anybody that is coming through town that fits, with the NPT ethos and the kind of books that we want people to be reading, that we're excited about. And we're wrapping season 6 right now. I have 2 episodes left to tape for season 6.
That's incredible.
To be able to carry on John Siegenthaler's literary legacy in Nashville is the greatest honor of my life. It's amazing.
I mean, Nashville's a big town for a lot of people. So for you to be doing that and doing it for 6 years and still keeping it running is a blessing to you, and is that where you got the award from behind you?
Yeah.
Kind of a big
won an Emmy our first season. So we've been nominated a couple of times, but we won an Emmy our first season.
That sounds like you're acting like it's no big deal. That's a big deal, JT.
It's cool. It's super
Yeah.
cool, you know?
Love it. So do you have any advice to somebody who wants to be a writer, who wants to break out into this world of books?
Sure. Sure. So two-pronged advice. One, read. You have to read. There is one thing every writer has in common. They are a reader. I don't know any writers who don't love reading books. So
Yeah.
read everything that you can get your hands on. And then the other half of it is you need to find your time and respect your time and work within it. Because I don't know how, if I had a nickel for every person that said, "Oh, I want to write a book, I just don't have time." Well, there's something for people who want to write a book. Find the time. I
Yeah.
have got too many friends that get up at 5 a.m. to write for 2 hours before they go to work, before they
Mhm.
take the kids to school and go to work for their full-time job. If you really want to write a book, you will find the time. And then when you find your time, guard it with your life, respect it, and expect the people around you to respect it as well. Because
Mhm.
if you let people in when you're doing, your hour, your 2 hours, or however long your block of writing time is, if you let casual things in like email or phone calls or, uh,
Dust bunnies.
kids who aren't bleeding, dishwasher, "Oh, I need to go put the stuff in the washing machine," that kind of stuff. You have to respect your time and block
That's
all
great
of that off
advice.
and then deal with it.
That's great advice, really. Do you have a certain time of day that you get up? Do you wake up at 5 a.m. to write?
No. No,
None?
I have been blessed with being a full-time writer from the beginning. So I get to I get to spend a lot of time with my craft, which is wonderful. Um, I'm not a morning person, so I don't even try. That's just not my thing.
Yeah.
It's just not. I like to be at my desk writing by 10. If I'm like,
Perfect.
by then I've done my email, I've talked with my assistant, we've gone through things that need to happen. She puts stuff on my to-do list and, just all of that's done. I've had breakfast, I've played with the cats, I've thrown the ball up and down the stairs. And at 10 o'clock, it's like, all right, going in. And if I can write from 10 to 12 and get like 1,000 words, I know it's going to be a good day. And because I do 2 a days, I'll then take a break for lunch, driveway date, whatever, if it's sunny out, my husband and I'll go sit in the driveway and get some vitamin D.
Woo. Yeah.
And then I'll write in the afternoon as well. Just, at least until 4 or 5.
Uh-huh.
And then I go work out and make dinner and, start the evening of just trying to disconnect. But
It's a full day.
I'm not, it's a full day. I'm not really
Yeah.
regimented. I keep shop hours. I close for lunch.
But is it always going on in your head too? Like you see somebody walking down the street and you like their strut? Yeah.
There
Can you
is
go to the airport
is
one day and just
always
drink wine and
there's
watch people?
always a notebook. Oh,
Mm.
sure. I've
I'm
done that a million
serious.
times. I love airports. I
It's
love
the best.
travel and I love airports for people watching. But yeah, there's always a notebook. I mean, there's always a notebook nearby or a note-taking app on my phone. And you can't, when your office is in your head, you can't exactly escape it. So
Yeah.
that's why I do try to, okay, it's time to shut off. Mischief managed. I've done my shutdown routine and now I'm gonna go work out and work off some energy and then make dinner and have some wine and chill out and do all those things. So
It sounds heavenly.
I'm incredibly blessed to be able to do this and to have this job and to have the career that I do. I mean, I do not take it for granted for a moment.
Well, we're very lucky to have you. I'm going to ask you a couple more questions, but I just want to remind everybody that Buy Her Dark Lies button is on the bottom there. So you can just click on that. We have signed bookplates that she kissed. No, right? You did, didn't you? No, I'm kidding.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. Oh
So we
yeah.
do have signed
The cats
bookplates.
did too. The cats walked over them.
Oh, good.
Kitty blessings.
So we can mail anywhere in the country, and we do have the signed book plates, and it's a fantastic book. Nobody's going to Italy right now. We have a few more weeks before anybody can really we're getting the vaccines. You got yours. I got mine, the first one. So we're getting there.
Yep.
What is the
We're
first
getting
thing
there.
you want to do after your shot is, you get 3 weeks after your shot is all done. What's the first thing you want to do?
Oh,
Like banisters?
there's a restaurant. No, there's a restaurant here in town that I want to go and have a meal inside a restaurant. I just, I've been in one restaurant twice in the past 12 months. It was outside on the patio, totally social distance, wearing masks, except for when we lifted up to put some food in it. I'm really ready for that. I would like to get a pedicure. I
Oh,
would
me
like somebody else
too.
to paint my toenails.
I've been coloring my own hair, and it's a lovely orange. I don't know who's doing your hair, but you
I
look
don't think
fantastic.
it's orange.
It's a little orange.
I have I thankfully the inadvertent platinum has taken over, so that's
It's
working
gorgeous.
out really well. Thank you, pandemic, because there are things that I used to care a lot about. What my hair looked like, what my nails looked like, just superficial stuff that,
Yeah.
again, we were talking earlier about being introverted, being blurt, being uncomfortable with large groups and stuff. And a lot of that is the armor that you put on in order to go and do that. And I
Mhm.
don't really care about the armor anymore. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing.
That
That's a good thing that's come out of the pandemic.
that and taking a slower pace of life too, because I feel like I'm okay with not going out every single minute of my day. I'm kind of enjoying this. I'm able to read more. Have you been able to concentrate as much? Because I have a lot of people that come in every day. They're like, I can't concentrate. So has that been a struggle?
It's it has been a struggle, and my attention has been fractured for sure,
Yeah.
which is why having a routine and having okay, it's 10 o'clock, it's time to stop worrying about everything else and start worrying about my book.
Yeah.
That really does help me, that kind of regimen of this is what I do. I like the flow of I'm like a cat. They have their little thing that they do at certain times every day. That's me, right? I'm going to curl up on this chair to do this reading. I'm going to be over here on my desk, and just all of that. But my biggest shift is I'm just not planning things.
Yeah.
Me. I like to have a plan, and I
Hmm.
make quarterly plans and annual plans and 5-year plans and forecasts. And I, I just haven't done it. The planning section of my planner is empty because I just, who knows? Who knows what tomorrow's going to bring? So live now, live every moment. And that's been a gift, really, to have
Yeah.
to slow down and focus and yes, I am reading. I am reading again. I wasn't, so I was watching a lot of great streaming, really great
Like what?
shows,
What have you
which
got?
is research in and of itself. Oh, I mean, Queen's Gambit,
Oh
hands
my
down
gosh, that was good.
favorite. Close close second is Bridgerton. I loved
Yeah.
Bridgerton. Um, Ted Lasso, we just finished that.
Yes.
So funny. Been watching Discovery of Witches and Men in Kilts and just all kinds of stuff. We watch
Please,
documentaries. It's just kind of whatever we're in the mood for.
please tell me you're not watching Oak Island.
No, what's Oak
Okay, good.
Island?
Good. That's been on in my house a few times. And I love you, Dave, but these people have so much money and they're just digging for gold and they never find it. It's been years, years, but don't.
Oh,
So we do
okay. I'm not going
have,
there.
you what? So
I'm
we
not
have an
going
ask
there.
the question button here on the bottom if anybody wants to ask a question. And I just wanted to ask you one last question before we break out and answer questions from the audience. This will be replayed on YouTube in the next coming week, so you can watch it again and again and again. And JT, I'm having so much fun. I don't want this to end, but
Me too. It's nice
I
to
know.
chat.
I feel like you're here with me. What is the soundtrack of your life, or when you were writing this book, was there music playing in the back? I find that fascinating that people have like a different mood and they get into the music of it. You say you don't like country, but is it?
No, I am an alternative rock
Me
and
too.
early punk kind of girl. So I'm really hip on July Talk right now. Have you ever heard of July Talk?
Yeah.
They're a Canadian band. They're fantastic. I'm loving their older stuff. I'm not as in love with their new stuff. So they're on the soundtrack for this book. I have a soundtrack for the book.
You do. Can you
Every
share
book I
that?
write, there is a soundtrack thematically. Yeah, I would have to pull it up. Let me see if I can find it while we're doing this. Um,
It's not Frank Sinatra,
it will
is it?
be on here. It's not Frank Sinatra, and I can't really listen to this as I'm writing. I like to have something a little more ephemeral. I like classical or movie soundtracks or something. So, okay, so Ignorance by Paramore, My Demons by Starset, Sorry by Meg Myers, Skater Boy by Avril Lavigne, Well Kept Secret, Phantom Rocker and Slick, House on a Hill, The Pretty Reckless, Your Sister, The Pretty Reckless, The Dustland Fairy Tale, The Killers, Angel by Sarah McLachlan, Why'd You Bring a Shotgun to the Party by Pretty Reckless.
You're all over the
Do
place.
I Want to Know? Arctic Monkeys. I am all over the place. The Police is on here. Adele is on here. Garbage is on here. Whoops, I just turned Garbage on.
And Dave just put up the
Apologies
playlist right
for
there. Excellent.
Oh,
Thanks.
good. You found it. Yes. So
Yes.
there's the whole playlist. Every song that was working in my mind as I was writing the book. And I do that for every book because I get thematic stuff. I'll get lines. Field of Graves came from Dustland Fairy Tales. They talk about dancing through a field of graves. I'm like, that's a title. Stealing that. Thanks a lot. You know, it's, and every book has its own little theme songs. You know, the Cold Room, Dvorak #9 was on constant loop. Just, you know, you just never know. I never know what song is gonna click in my brain and become the song of the book, but there's always one.
Do you wake up every morning with a song in your head?
Every morning.
Me too.
Earworms.
Some of them are terrible.
Oh, it's
Terrible.
awful. And you know, I don't know all the words, so I'm there stuck
Me
in
too.
the chorus. It's the
Do
same
you remember
chords
what
over
today's
and over,
was?
and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not good. It's, yeah, it happens constantly.
Yes. Did you remember what today's was?
Today's was, I'm too tired. I've got to get up and take a shower and drive an hour and a half to get a shot. So no.
No.
I was a little too tired for it this morning. I didn't get to lay in bed and, you know, experience. I had to roll out and go the second the alarm went off. But yeah,
Well, you can text me
I've had
next
the
time.
Police this week. I've had Elton John stuck in my head. There's a song of it, I can't remember the title of it, that I've been falling asleep to, and then I'm waking up to a completely different one. So Elton John's kind of stuck in my head right now. So
that's fun. That gets you going.
Adamant too.
Oh, I love it.
Adamant. Yeah. Oh, which one is it? Don't drink, don't smoke. What do you do?
Oh,
Subtle innuendos follow.
I feel like back in my high school years.
Oh,
so we
yeah,
have a question here from Barbara Wojcik. Oh, sorry, what?
I said, I'll take you back there.
Let's go. Barbara Wojcik, who is a big fan of yours, how long does it take you to write a book, and what is your next book about, if you can tell us? Do you get annoyed with that question? People are like, I'm so excited about this book, but what's next? No, some people do.
No, because normally I'm either almost done or I'm well into another book, and by the time a book comes out, you know, I've moved on, right? I'm well past it, and I have to come back and remind myself what I'm working on. But it usually, in a perfect world, 6 months. In an imperfect world, this one took 14. This one took 14 months. Sometimes books write themselves, and sometimes they don't. So I've learned to not worry if something is taking longer than it should. Standalones take me longer than series titles. Series titles I can do, you know, like that, because you're not creating the world. You're not creating the characters. Everybody's there. They're reacting to the plot. A standalone, you're creating everything. So it just takes a little bit longer. So, you know, in a good scenario, it's a month of research, 4 months of writing, a month of editing. That's a best case scenario for me. That doesn't happen all the time. As far as what I'm working on now, I just finished a short story that's going to be coming out at the end of the year in an anthology from Suspense Magazine. So stick on my newsletter for information about that. And I am halfway through another novel, but I'm not ready to talk about what it's about.
Well, that's okay. We'll let you live. Somebody just popped on here. I can't thank you enough. Does anybody else have any questions at all? We got the Spotify playlist. Would you tell them about your blog one more time? Not the blog, but
Sure. So you can come to, just come to jtellison.com, and I've got, link outs to my social media. I'm Thriller Chick on the social medias, and I have had a blog. The blog is getting ready to go on hiatus as I am finishing up tour, because it's Lent, and I usually give up social media for Lent. But I obviously didn't while I'm doing that. But I have been working on mindfulness, and so I'm making some changes to how my social media works right now. But the newsletter is definitely the place you want to be. So come to the newsletter, subscribe. I give away $30 gift cards for anybody who opens it. You're automatically entered. So that
Nice.
is the thing. And find me on the Literati, on my Facebook page. The Literati is our book group, and Instagram at Thriller Chick. And that's, I'm kind of paring down to those things.
I'm
And then
glad.
the Wine Vixen, if you want historical stuff, there's not a lot of current on there, but wine doesn't go out of style. So.
It never does. No. And that cover, my eyes get drawn to that cover. It is breathtaking.
It really is. They knocked it out of the park. I mean, they asked me, what visuals. We always do. It's called an art fact sheet, where you give themes and titles and what the characters look like, just details that the artist can then use to build the covers. And they said, is there anything that's been really visual for you? And so I gave them the cliffs, and the Sacre de Saint Michel was the fortress that I based this on. This is Isola is a fake island, but so that's Sacre de Saint Michel, which is in the north part of Italy, and this is probably part of Capri, the big sheer cliff. But they took my ideas and sent me this, and it was one of those. I wrote them back immediately. I said, if you change anything, I'm going to be very upset with you, because it's perfect. It is the most perfect cover.
It's the most beautiful cover. And you know what? It's not a woman walking away with a suitcase. So thank you.
Right. It's so, it's really good for the genre as well. I mean, I was actually in a bookstore earlier today, and I was just looking at covers, looking at how the covers have changed recently. And it is much more this kind of visual where it draws you in and you keep going into the scenery rather than it being a person with their back to you. So that it has shifted. It's kind of interesting seeing a wall of books like that.
Thank God. Well, anything else you want to share with us? Any trips, maybe in 2 or 3 years you want to take so you can write? And I can't thank you enough for letting us all go to Italy with you through this book. It's an amazing book. You are not going to figure it out at the end. And I can't. Oh, wait a minute. We do have another question. But everybody needs to read this book. We're going to be doing it for my May book club, I think. And then we have 4 book clubs that are doing this book. So. Hold on one second. Okay. Awesome. Which Claire did you like the best? Earrings and tattoos, or the cleaned up version?
Who do you think I like the best?
Tattoos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Why be all prim and proper?
That's a really interesting question, because Claire thinks that a guy like Jack Compton could never love a girl with a nose ring and piercings and earrings and crazy hair with colors in it, and that she goes so far as she has her tattoos removed, and she takes out her piercings, and she has her hair highlighted and cut into a bob the way she thinks he wants her to be. When I mean, he's in love with her. He just digs her, right? He doesn't want her to change for him, but she feels like to fit into this family, she has to become somebody that they could, trot out to dinner, and she just feels very self-conscious about what she's done, and a lot of what she's done was punishment for her perceived sins, which a lot of that can happen. It can be a very addictive cycle of pain.
Very.
And that's certainly something that she got into and was doing it for. I mean, it was not necessarily because she was excited about having a tattoo. It was the addiction to the pain and the way it made her feel and the adrenaline that she was getting from it. She's an incredibly complex character. I
Very.
like her better with her nose ring in, with her septum ring in. That's, I like her better like that. But, she I think is going to find who she needs to be, for sure.
Just like you did. And I couldn't thank you, Darla, for that
Yeah.
question. That was really good. Yes.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thanks.
Anybody else? More questions? We are going to let you go enjoy your Saturday night. I hope you get takeout from a wonderful
Thank
restaurant
you.
and a glass of wine. And I can't wait to have you back at the store. JT, you were amazing.
Me too.
This book is absolutely incredible. Again, we have signed booklets, and I hope it does #1 right on the New York Times bestseller list.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
It will be.
Go buy it then. We need everybody to buy it.
Yep. Go on vacation through JT's book. And thank you all so much for joining in. We will have a good night, and I'll see you soon.